Give me a little countdown. YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to the Dojo Outfitters show. Dude, the power of social media. Man, I am so blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, let me first off start by introducing you to Pete McGregor. I got hooked up with Pete through social media, and I looked at his Instagram and was like, he was in Texas, and I was like, well, yeah, dog. I mean, if you're ever in Oregon, of course. And you messaged me back and you were like, I'm on a flight right now.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Pete, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Not much. That seems to be my life right now, is I keep on knocking on everybody's door at some point, so I was just lucky that I was on my way here.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to come down and talk with me.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
Dude, of course. Yeah. I'm super interested in your story. And yeah, dude, I'm excited for you to kind of let everyone know all about you. So, cool. Dude, take me from the beginning. Where did this all start?
So I guess if I was to start at the beginning of my jiu-jitsu journey, I would probably start. I was in hospital when I first thought about doing jiu-jitsu, and it was just because I was listening to a Joey Diaz podcast where he was talking about his usual being a fat fuck and wanting to better his life, and jiu-jitsu just seemed to be his vehicle at the time. And whatever he was saying at the time was just really touching me. And, I'd been listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, obviously, and we all know Eddie Bravo's Joe's, best friend. So I was connected to MMA and jiu-jitsu in that kind of way. But I guess if I had to even really go back to the very beginning, it's my mom. My mom got me into fights. Her dad's idea of a daddy-daughter date was taking her to the local boxing gym and watching all the local fighters, who were, Olympic level at the time. I'm from Scotland. I was born in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. So she was watching, boxing as a kid, and that translated to her watching ESPN Friday night fights with me and my brother when I was 6 or 7 years old. I can remember her watching Sugar Ray fight Hagler. Was it Marvelous Marvin Hagler? So I've always had a upbringing of the fight game, in a very small, very, very small way, but I've always been affected by it. And I was just, I was in my hospital bed, and I thought, the best way to find a way to work out and be physically healthy and be mentally healthy and that kind of thing was to try to follow a martial art. And the one that I was connecting to at the time through Joey was jiu-jitsu. So I went to a local gym in my city of Edmonton in Canada, and that's where my journey started. But February 1st, 2017, I landed in San Diego on a holiday, and I had planned to go to all the gyms in the area. Everybody knows in jiu-jitsu, San Diego is the Mecca. Yeah. And when I went there, I had all these intentions of training at 540 and Victory and all these places. But I went to 10th Planet San Diego, and I never left there for 5 days. Richie was so good to me. Richie Boogeyman Martinez, he my now coach. He's been so amazingly good to me since day one. And I didn't want to go anywhere else to train in my holiday there. And when I actually got home, my team, long story short, I came from a traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu lineage, and they weren't happy that I trained at a 10th Planet. And they basically asked me to leave. And when they did, Richie, just kind of took up the mantle and let me know that I was welcome on his team and that I could definitely come to San Diego whenever I wanted to. And I just decided, there were some things happening in my life. My relationship with my wife was transitioning. We were getting divorced, and I was selling my house, and this transition with my team was going on. And I just decided that, this was my moment to just kind of just sell out and just go all in on my dream of living my jiu-jitsu journey. So I sold my house, I sold all my possessions, my car, guitars, amplifiers, things that would just give me money I could put in the bank. And I have no bills except for my cell phone. And the last 3 years I've been traveling and training jiu-jitsu pretty much exclusively. 6 months of the year was 10 Planet San Diego at Richie's place. And, I'm in places like London and Greece and Dublin and all these kind of places doing jiu-jitsu as well. So I'm very fortunate that way. But, this is the lifestyle I lead right now. And that's where it all started to now, I guess, is the long, short story.
Yeah. So I'm super interested when you started with Boogeyman. Like, were you right away just doing drilling classes? Did they just put you in the fire right away? Like,
so we have a very unique coach to student perspective, because I think it helped actually that I came from another place and I had some experience with this already. And I knew kind of what worked teaching wise and what didn't work teaching wise. So 10th Planet being the system that it is, gives me the opportunity to be very creative and follow my own path. But ultimately, when Richie's teaching something, I'm trying to do that technique as he teaches it first. If I can't do that, then I find something within the technique to drill from. And if I can't do that, then I have free reign to try to explore something I may have been working on or a concept that I find within whatever he's teaching. So really my jiu-jitsu is something of like a conceptual art, I think. I think of things that I can and can't do in certain situations rather than I have a specific technique to get me out of side control, let's say, So I'm working off of principles and concepts in my mind and not necessarily this is a half guard sweep I have, or this is a side control sweep I have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I told you, we actually got to roll tonight at the 10th Planet Open Mat, is some of the positions where people are probably the worst, you're actually the most dangerous. Mm-hmm. Bottom side control, bottom mount, you're very dangerous from those positions.
I appreciate that. Something that I've learned really early in my jiu-jitsu journey was that, I'm working with a third of a body. My paralysis, leads me to only be able to move, basically from about 2 inches above my belly button down. So, in essence, I'm not going to be able to move myself very well, so I'm always going to have to be able to find ways to move my opponent. Uh-huh. So when we had the opportunity to roll where you say, you're dangerous from this position where most people aren't looking to attack from, that's my way to move you. That's the way to create space, or that's the way to create some form of leverage or resistance that goes against you that works in my favor, where I can work out from, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'm mostly working off conceptual ideas and not necessarily technique or chains of techniques or events or things like that. I'm just trying to put myself in a position to use the conceptual ideas that I have to my advantage, and knowing what I know with the time that I've had on the mat. I think I'm doing something that definitely resembles jiu-jitsu, but I think also is kind of maybe something new or something different as well, which fits really well into the team that I've landed with, because that's Boogie, that's the freak show, and that's something that he wholeheartedly supports with my journey. He wants me to be creative. He wants me to find my own path. And there's even things that I think that he's maybe thought that might not be good for me, or techniques that he might think that get me into trouble, and allowed me to freely, search through them and find what I may through trial and error, and actually has come around on a few things and seen with work and with the effort that I put in, that I can come to an understanding of that maybe he isn't even thought of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm fortunate where I'm at. I'm really fortunate to be under Boogie and to be his guy and to be guided by him. And, you know, and for him to take such great care and responsibility for my journey.
Uh-huh.
You know?
So did you get your blue belt from Boogie?
So, okay. So when I started in the gi, I started with a team, a Gracie Baja team, and I actually got a blue belt under them. And, when I went to 10th Planet, I decided that I thought the best path for me and for my teammates to know that I was serious about joining their team was to go back to white belt. So I actually asked Richie if that was okay with him, and he said it was. I think there was the stipulation that he had was he didn't want me to compete because I'd already competed at blue belt, and that I think that he just wanted to make sure that my white to blue belt journey with 10th Planet was going to be something like something that I wanted to prove to the team that I was serious about being part of their system and being part of what they're about. So Richie didn't, you know, make it too hard on me, like to get my blue belt.
Right.
He really recognized the work that I'd put in. So, you know, I think it only took me like a year and a bit to get to get to my blue, but I just got my purple recently. You know, and I feel like, you know, maybe some ways like I might have got it like a bit soon. Not necessarily like before I deserved it, but I mean, like I put in so much work. I think that I've been in the gym probably more in the last 3 years with 10 Planet than a lot of people put in like 6 years. And I say that with all confidence, and I'm sure my coach would support that. But I think that's something else that I've realized in the beginning of my jiu-jitsu journey for sure is that I'm always going to have to put in 10 times the work to get half the amount of results. So that tells you like how hard I need to work, you know, to get to my jiu-jitsu to where it's at. And you've obviously seen it. I'm proud of it, you know, and I know that it gave you a little bit of grief tonight. You know, I know you had the upper hand a lot, but the thing about my jiu-jitsu is nobody trains like I do. Nobody sees the things that I do. Nobody gets to the positions that I do. So essentially when we're rolling, like you're doing something totally different than I am. I mean, you've never seen what I'm going to throw at you. So it's always going to be like new and fresh. And I'm always going to have like a bit of a step ahead where I'm always kind of 2 steps behind normally, you know? So I'm fortunate that way when I've got so much time now on the mat and I've got a little bit more in the toolbox now. And, you know, I've got things to reach deeper into, you know, to defend myself or attack with. But, you know, that always wasn't the case. You know, it came through a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, blood, sweat, tears, all that shit, you know, that we talk about. So
tell me what it felt like to get the blue belt the second time around from like a team that like really like embraced you.
It was like, I can't even fucking tell you, to be honest with you, because it was so, it was like a relief. It was like a total relief to have that pressure gone, to not have to worry about, you know, am I part of this team? Am I part of 10th Planet? Have I proved myself enough? Have I done the things that, in Boogie's eyes or my teammates' eyes would, you know, allow them to accept me into, because this team is no joke. Like, this is one of the best teams in the world. You know, if I, you know, I know I'm biased, but tell me anybody that would say anything, you know.
There's a lot of big names at the
huge
gym.
Names, huge, and names that aren't there anymore that are massive still, you know, that have moved on to other places, but got their beginnings and, you know, have a lot of influence from Boogie. So yeah, it was a relief, man. It was a fucking relief to get it, because I put in a lot of work. I bled a lot. I'd gone through some like serious mental wars to like get to that point, you know? And, I was super happy that, Boogie recognized that for sure.
So what was it like when you would roll with Boogie?
So, okay. So this is the cool thing about, most of the people within the 10 Planet system is when I go to visit them, they're really cool to me. like we talked about earlier, guys that are above us, it's such a hard thing maybe for them to dial it back to our level to allow us to work and to let them see what we're capable of. And maybe they have that opportunity to learn and also teach us, where we're deficient and things like that. But Boogie beats the fuck out of me every chance he gets. And he's merciless with me. He legitimately is merciless with me. And he tells me all the time that, like, I want to be so hard on you that you know that, like, there's nobody or nothing that you can't go through. Does that make sense?
No, because my sensei is big. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And I've had a few times where I've been like getting smashed on like by other people. And in my head, I'm just, I've been here before.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I've had way worse than this before.
Right.
Like, this isn't so bad. Like,
No, so I did Worlds in 2017 when I was there, and or when I was with 10th Planet, and
competing at Blue Belt
at 125. And I just remember being in the middle of my match thinking, like, is this it? Because I was so scared about what this opponent may bring to the match that I hadn't seen before. But I'd gone through so many fucking wars in my room that, there was nothing that I think that guy was able to bring to the table that was going to make me worried about, if I had an answer for it, you know what I mean? So
it's not like you're fighting Boogeyman at 125.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Or even like Gio. Gio's 145, and going against him is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah,
too,
it's not Gio's not just going to show up in your bracket,
right? But Gio is a guy that will, like, dial it back for me. He'll roll at my level, but Boogie will kick the fuck out of me.
He's like, nah, dog.
They're living shit out of me all the time.
So tell me more about. I'm interested in the Worlds. Tell me how that went.
So it's a IBJJF tournament, and points are not to my benefit. I think the guy, we started. He engaged. He ran around me a little bit, and when he came around and entered my side control, I think he got points for, like, passing my guard. And I didn't even engage anything, So the point system is just never going to be in my favor.
There's got to be a better way.
There has to be, for sure. But I mean, ultimately in the match, he smoked me on points, but he threatened me with an armbar halfway into the match, which I fought out of, and then nothing really after that, because I think he was worried about closing the distance on me. You know what I mean? I definitely had a size difference on him.
That's why points isn't good, because he already knew he's up on points. Like, why even engage?
Exactly. And I didn't feel like he was stalling out or not engaging, but he also was being smart and not giving me a chance to get a hold of him. Right. So, I had a good time, again, it was part of, like, wanting to prove to my team, that I was down for 10th Planet. And that I was willing to go out there and fly the flag, no matter what the result. So it was a great experience for me. I'm super glad I had it, but I don't think I'll ever take part in another points tournament ever again.
Just the sub onlys.
Just the sub onlys, and probably just from now on, like, super fight matches. Like, I don't think I'm at a tournament bracket grinding it out stage anymore either. Even if it's all, like, adaptive grapplers, I think I'm past the point right now of training for, 4 or 5 matches in one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm good with one.
Well, I don't know how you get before matches, but, like, for me, I have huge adrenaline dumps. And so after one match, it's like, well, now I got to fight 4 more guys.
For sure.
When I'm, like, not at full capacity.
For sure. There's that. And I think I've done so many now that I'm not worried about the adrenaline dump anymore, but it's the injuries that I'm worried about now, the longevity of my jiu-jitsu journey. And if I'm going to just take time to, like, train as hard as I would to prepare for a match, I don't think I would want to put myself through something. I don't think I have it in me, cardio wise, to put myself through something that I would need to prepare to have 4 or 5 or plus matches nowadays. So yeah, I would take on super fight matchups, and there's really, like, to be honest with you, there's so few of us that there's really only 2 or 3 guys that I can think of that I would really want to match up with at the moment, and it for sure would only be in a sub only format.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me more about getting your purple belt.
Okay.
I'm interested in that story.
Okay. Like, what part of it, for instance?
Were like, I want to know everything. Were you like expecting it at all? Was it like a huge surprise?
No,
like,
even
how did it go?
So that when I got it, even Boogie was like, I've got 1 belt to give out tonight, and he gave it to the only other guy that got a belt that night. So I don't know if he was like really thinking about only giving 1 and then decided last minute, but I know his wife didn't even know. Like, his wife told me after, she was shocked, because she had no idea that it was coming. And so was I. So I know I'd been working hard for it, though. It was on my mind. And I'm not the guy that talks about that shit. I'm not the guy that'll like go up to my coach and be like, "Hey, when am I going to get my belt? Or what do I have to?" This is actually what I say to people. I have talked about my belt before, but I go to people that have got their purple belt, from Boogie already, that may be still purples or browns or even blacks, and I say to them, "What is it that you did that you think that I could know about getting my purple belt? Like, what is it that you think that I may be lacking, and tell me about doing that?" And ultimately you get great answers like,
Absolutely.
Be coachable, be on time, show up all the time. These are the classes that are important. Be here for that. So yeah, I mean, I did talk about, what it takes to get to that stage with other people that have gotten it, but I'm not the guy that would challenge Boogie for sure. But I definitely had it in my mind, and I was for sure working towards the goal of making it to that level, because I think it really it legitimizes what I'm trying to do with my journey. It really puts me in a position where people can't they can't fuck around with my credentials anymore, to be honest with you.
100%.
I got a purple belt off of one of the toughest fucking rooms in the world. So, and it came with obviously a lot of work and respect from my coach. And it means a lot, not just to me, but I think to even, the ability for people like me that may be starting jiu-jitsu to see that they could get there, and that we can climb these hurdles, and that we can provide good things to jiu-jitsu. Like I did a seminar tour across Canada. I did 20 seminars in 6 weeks from one end of Canada to the other. I mean, Canada is the second biggest country in the world, second biggest landmass in the world. So it was a huge undertaking. But I did all these seminars for free, and I just wanted people to know that people like me were out there, and we had valuable jiu-jitsu to offer, and that we were very capable of adding to people's games and to be worthy of even effort, as new people that may come in like me. I wanted gyms to know that, if you start with these people, if you help these people, they could end up like me, providing you with good feedback and good jiu-jitsu back, So
what were you showing at the seminars? Were you doing different stuff, or? Yeah,
I have this, I have this real nasty, it's like a variation of a ghost escape. And it comes off of like an adaptation of 10 planet meat hook.
Yep.
But without the leg. So I set it up off of that. And then it's kind of like a reverse 100% is the finish. So I was teaching this finish from bottom and top. Like if you're on bottom side, if you end up in top side, I taught a sweep and how to get to top side. And then I taught the same finish from top side, sorry. And, that seemed to go down very well. It was all IBJJF legal as well, which is great in Canada because it's mainly gi in Canada, mainly like points in IBJJF tournaments. There's not a lot of sub only, not a lot of no gi there. So I had to kind of be wary of teaching, things that were applicable to not just show how I do jujitsu, but also to show that I had valuable jujitsu. I could add to people's games, or I could show them concepts that might work, to add value to their game.
What type of response were you getting from the different gyms? I
was getting really great feedback, and I mean, obviously, I'm going to be biased and say all these things, but I was actually getting really great feedback. I think people, people open their gyms to me to, I think, maybe be nice at the beginning, and I think they were thinking it was just going to be like more of an exhibition type event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I would really ended up blowing people away that had that weird expectation that I actually came and taught a seminar and taught like actual valuable jujitsu. So I definitely got a lot of great feedback. I've been actually back to some clubs teaching. I've had invites back to more. And I just ultimately, I did what I wanted to do. I got media attention, and I just let people know around Canada that I'm out there, and I had people getting a hold of me and asking me, questions about how to get involved in jiu-jitsu. And, they had different disabilities, that was my goal, and I achieved, even if it was just one person that got a hold of me, I would have achieved that goal. And I had several. I even had two guys get a hold of me on the same day within an hour of each other, who lived an hour each away from each other in England. So it like the chances of that are crazy, but they both had the same disability, and they're both asking me the same kind of questions about jiu-jitsu. That's how powerful, the tour that I did was, and I was super fortunate to have the amount of support that I did, and all the clubs that opened up their gates to me and really just gave me the opportunity to show this to people, so
that's got to feel so good.
It does, man. It sure does. And especially doing it off my own dime, not taking any money from anybody, and really making it my own thing, so I could be not having to answer to anybody and not having to take suggestions about how I would have to talk to people or whatever. I could just be myself. And I think that was, another thing that resonated with people. I was just trying to be real with people, and I was telling a little bit about my story, and, but yeah, it was a really great experience that enriched me in so many ways, to be a teacher, as well. And not just a student,
right.
It made my jiu-jitsu so much better.
So what's the end goal for all of this?
I really don't have one, to be honest with you. I'm really just flying by the seat of my pants right now, and it seems like every time an opportunity comes knocking at my door, I just kick that door the fuck in, so I've never had a problem capitalizing on the opportunities that come my way. And I'm just not really in a rush to force these things in life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping that more opportunity comes my way. And I know it will. And I've got some things that I'm definitely working on, but yeah, I'm open. I want to be an open source to anything that becomes available. If people want me to come help them, train, I'm down for that. If people want me to come and help teach, I'm down for that. If they're opening up their doors, for me to be a student, I'm down for that too. That's what my journey's been about recently. The last couple of weeks, I went to Albuquerque to spend time with Nate Harris and Jamie Kilstein. He did a seminar there. And then I went to Anthony Burchak's place in Tucson. And then I went to David Halsey and Tony Trammell. They're black belts under Tank, Bruno Mendez. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this last 2.5 weeks has just been a training, learning journey for me, you know? And, people have asked me to teach along the way, which has, been awesome. But ultimately, I wanted 2020 to be something for me that put me back in a position to enjoy jiu-jitsu again, because like going back to my, you asked me about my purple belt. Yeah, I love fucking jiu-jitsu. I love it with all my heart. I'm so passionate about it. But 2019, I did a lot of physical damage to my body chasing the dream of getting this purple belt. And, when I achieved it, I was super happy, but I've also had to like take steps back and take care of like really, you know, possibly problematic medical situations, that could arise from me ignoring certain things for the last 8 to 10 months. So I've been fortunate lately, to have the opportunity to take some time off, and get some rest, that get back to that good old Canadian socialized medicine, and get some doctor's appointments, and get checked out. But yeah, I wanted 2020 to be a journey for me back to really enjoying jiu-jitsu again, being a student again, really taking the most opportunities I could to learn as much about this art again as possible. Like take that white belt mentality. I know it sounds cheesy, but you know what I'm saying?
It's true, dude. All the jujitsu like sayings are all true, but you're just like, man, that's such BS.
For sure. But it is true.
But then you like finally one day you're like, that's true.
Yeah, when you're living it, it's as corny as it is, it just fucking makes sense, So but yeah, I'm excited about 2020. I'm excited about all the new possibilities of what's going on in my life right now. So I'm just again, I'm just trying to take that white belt mentality with life and jiu-jitsu again, and just make 2020 about learning as much as possible about everything.
So what's your training schedule going to be like then? Are you mostly doing just kind of like beginner classes where you're learning techniques? Are you doing like the advanced classes where you're rolling combo?
I mean, when I was in Dallas, I did 1-3 a day. I did morning class, for whatever it is, an hour and half an hour, rolling after the beginner class at night, and then the advanced class. So I'm not picky. I really am not. I'm there to learn. It doesn't bother me where I'm getting my jiu-jitsu from. Like, I really honestly feel this. Like, you could put me in front of a class of, I've been in this situation before, so I know it's true. I've been at a seminar with Craig Jones where he just taught leg locks, right? And it improved my wrestling greatly. Just understanding the manipulation of the knee line and how that that applies to the rotation of the hip and what that makes the rest of the body do. Just give me an opportunity to be in front of jiu-jitsu. I'm going to take something away from it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers the question there.
It seems like a lot of your game is mental.
Sure. Conceptual though.
Yeah.
Mental in that I'm thinking about certain things that apply in this position here. I have a checklist, I guess, in my head.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this applies in this situation. So I'm going to run through my little ABC to know, how to get out of this window if this happens, or how to get out of here if this happens. I feel like I've repped positions so much through so much time in the gym that I'm going to see as many of the possibilities as possible and have at least one answer for each of them,
Yeah.
So, but I'm always working off the assumption that I'm behind as well. I know my place in jiu-jitsu. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I have so much, I have so many conversations with guys that come through my gym about this, because they're athletic or they come from wrestling backgrounds or they come from other, crazy backgrounds, but know where you're at, know your place, give yourself time, keep training hard, but ultimately work from your advantages and your strengths, and don't concern yourself so much with the disadvantage. Dude, if I concern myself with all the fucking disadvantages I have, I would never do jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a life lesson, or just a jiu-jitsu lesson, but like just don't worry so much about what you can't and do the best with what you got.
Well, and especially with you doing tournaments, like I said, I get so nervous, and you're out here with, half of what I have, and you're doing it.
But I think that comes with time. Like I've had a lot of mat time, competition time. I've seriously in the last 3 or 4 years, I've put in so much mat time, just rolling in my gym is like a fucking war every night, man, so tell me I'm not ready for competition after you do a fucking Friday competition class at 10 Planet San Diego, like it just, there's nothing you can throw my way on a mat that's ever going to match or be worse than what I've gone through. You know what I mean?
Do you get to a point where like people can figure out how to like roll with you good and like get you like and get you like a good roll?
So like something that I said during my seminar is I relate a lot to like Star Trek episodes, right? Especially the ones that involve the Borg, right? Because you only have so many shots before they assimilate. And that's how I feel about my jujitsu. Like I might have 3 or 4 shots at you with the thing that I find success with. And eventually you're going to learn how to adapt your body in a way that's going to counteract that. Right. So I'm aware of that, that possible, but that's why you just keep filling your toolbox. It's mat time. You just keep finding something that works. And then it's not about, so the thing that Boogie has instilled in me, and I feel like is part of my game, is I have enough things in my toolbox now where I feel it's like a shotgun, and I just pull out my shotgun and just fucking fire every bullet I have at you until something hits. And that, like, I don't know if you've ever watched Boogie extensively, but watch him now and think of what I just said. And that's really how he plays his game. He just keeps firing until he just blows you away.
Tell me a good Boogeyman story.
Tell you
like
a
with
good
you,
Boogeyman story.
with you and him.
Tell me a good Boogeyman story. Most of my Boogeyman stories actually are like super emotional, or like he's yelling at me or something like that, or he's like really proud of me. So at Worlds, it was funny because the whole place is like, I don't know if you've ever been to a Worlds tournament, but the whole place is really packed and it's busy and there's a lot going on. Like, so when I came onto the mat, Cyborg is winning the heavyweight bracket, right? In the distance, just as I'm coming onto my mat. And as I'm coming onto the mat, Jiao Miao is coming off, right? So there's a lot going on here. There's spectators watching. And I'm on the mat and I'm halfway into the match and all I can hear is Boogie yelling. But he's like yelling, "This is where you want him. This is where you want him." But I'm trying to like set something up. And I think my opponent heard. I think he even said to me after, he's like, "Yeah, I could hear your coach yelling like you were in a good position when I thought you weren't." And
I'm out of here.
And I was worried at that. So yeah, the best Boogeyman story, the one that touches me the most for sure, is how invested he was in such a short time into my journey and making me feel like part of his family, not just a part of his team, but a part of his family. So yeah, he's been so good to me.
You and him felt the connection right away?
Dude, right away, man. And like when I got home, and I was kind of asked to leave by my team, it was about a week after this that Boogie just phoned me as a friend. Like he didn't know that I'd been kicked off the team yet. He didn't know anything about it. He just phoned me up as a friend to ask me what's going on. And when I told him that I had to leave this team, he told me, he's like, "You're mine now. Whenever you're in San Diego, you can come train with my team. You can come be a part of my team." And I don't think he fucking thought I was going to sell my house and all my possessions and shit and really like make a super commitment to traveling and training. But but yeah, I mean, if anybody had the influence to like, really push me over the edge to do that, other than Uncle Joey, it was definitely Boogie. So I owe him, I owe him more than I could ever give anyone.
What about Gio? Are you close with him too?
I am. I really am. I've got both of these guys tattooed on my body, so that tells you how close I feel to both of them. But
what's your favorite Gio story?
So again, I'll get sentimental and emotional.
That's all right. I'm loving these stories.
So the first year I was with 10th Planet, I went to a lot of things. I made sure that I went and supported my teammates and Boogie. But one of the things that they were doing at the time was they were doing a camp, a 7-day camp in Cyprus, which is like an island off the coast of Greece, right? And so I remember getting up early one morning. There was like a all-inclusive kind of breakfast thing, and I got up early to get breakfast because I couldn't sleep that night with all the jet lag and all that stuff. And when I got down to breakfast, Gio was sitting alone, just eating and listening to music and vibing out. Like, I don't know if you know Gio or if you've ever met him, but he's got this aura about him where he just doesn't give a shit about what's around him. He's just vibing and having a good time, eating breakfast at like 8 a.m. in Cyprus, right? In like paradise. So I go down there, and I ask him if I can sit with him, and he's like, yeah, for sure. And it ended up 3 hours. He talked to me almost about his life, Richie's life, how they grew up. He really gave me an insight into, some things about Boogie, and gave me an understanding about, how they grew up, and a little bit, nothing too crazy, but it was enough to like, put things in perspective and know that we all have like a background story. We've all come from somewhere, and the things that have influenced us. And, it was super awesome for him to share, that moment with me, that long moment. He didn't have to do that. But he was super welcoming, and again, wanted to make me feel like I was part of the team, and the family, since day one. So, it's something that it runs deep, this gym culture in the Freaks. It runs super deep, even with PJ, out in Spring Valley, and Kevin Burbrick up in Poway. We just have this really welcoming vibe, like a true team vibe, a true, family orientated vibe, but absolute monsters and fucking killer competitors, So yeah, I mean, like, it's a great place to be. And, I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to have these experiences with guys like Boogie and Gio, so yeah, that's my best Gio story, like spending 3 hours with him talking about his family in paradise.
That's still so cool, man.
Yeah, it was dope.
Have you met Eddie Bravo before?
I have a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mostly like just short moments and stuff like that. But it's funny because a lot of guys, always talk about how they've been in Eddie's presence, in the 10 Planet system, and they don't remember his name, but he remembers me, all the time. He comes up and he congratulated me on my purple belt, and my blue belt, I remember. So yeah, he's always been super kind to me. Goes well out of his way to like, make me feel welcome again, and part of the team. So yeah, he's been a good guy to me.
What's your message for everybody out there? What's your like main message that you're trying to get out?
I think it's just that I'm out there, like, I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. I'm trying to give back as much as possible. So I don't know how best to do that, recently, without making it seem scummy and trying to monetize off it. Cause that's not what I'm all about. It's not what I'm looking for. What I would like, ultimately is for as many disabled people as possible to find the benefit that I have out of jiu-jitsu. And I'm not talking, just about, learning a martial art or means of self-defense, but medically, I've been going through some seriously trying times before I found jiu-jitsu. probably like 40 surgeries in a 12-year period before I found jiu-jitsu. And immediately when I started doing it, I haven't had one serious medical problem. I haven't had anything that I've needed to go in to get serious operation for. So, you know, I think that just comes down to like better circulation within my body. You know, I'm moving more. I'm exercising. I'm out there. But really, man, like the mental part of it is just huge. You know, the social aspect of it, like people that are struggling with anything, mental health problems, you know, or are just in situations like mine and can't find ways to, you know, work out or find social activity or anything like this is all this shit. It's all this shit in one fucking place, man, you know? And if I can just, you know, tell enough people, I feel like, you know, the message really is just about, you know, I'm out there and, you know, if you need help, like I'm going to help guide you, you know, if that's what you need. But even just to be a guide from a distance, you know, through this kind of stuff, like media, social media, you know, I can put my message out there that way and just let people know that it's within their ability. Like I have a third of a fucking body and I feel like I'm doing pretty good with my jiu-jitsu journey, you know. There's no excuse for other people, whether it be like amputees, people with cerebral palsy, spina bifida. You know, I have a spinal cord injury. You know, it's all there for us, man. You know, and you know the benefits are just too many to describe. You know.
Mm-hmm. All right, dude. Before we get out of here, you got to tell me about a cookie story.
Oh shit!
In Carolina or something.
So so I have a good friend, Jess Munter, and so we decided one night, we were at this adaptive summit. The guy that owns the house that we all congregated at, Brian Freeman, he's a guy that I've fought a bunch of times, and we've have a relationship now. We've become very close friends, and he decided to invite, I think it was 10 people to North Carolina, his home in North Carolina, to train and, you know, share secrets and whatever, you know, in their jiu-jitsu and just ultimately network with each other. But we were coming close to the end of the week, and we you know, we were all really close. We'd all established a really good relationship with each other and, you know, had good jokes. It was good vibes. And we all decided to make some pot cookies at the end of the week. And we're all having, you know, one or two, passing around this plate. And I think I was the one that handed it to Jess. And we were having conversations and things like that. And nobody was really even noticing. But when I look back, I noticed the plate was empty and there were like 5 cookies on it. And we each had one, and, you know, we were feeling pretty good. One
edible will do it. Yeah.
One edible, right?
One edible will put you in a good spot.
So
5.
So she eats 5, and we've all established before this that she hasn't fucked with a lot of pot before, you know, smoked a little here and there.
5 is going to send you on a journey on a spaceship.
So, okay. So it gets good here. Okay. So I go into Brian's room, and everybody's kind of outside in the living room watching TV, and, you know, like chokes on or something like that. We got some jiu-jitsu fucking movie on, and me and Brian are in his room, and we're hitting the bong. Like we're master pot smokers. Yeah. Right. So, we're hitting this bong, getting just dialed in, and I get a ping on my phone, and I look at my phone, and it's Jess, and all it says is help. So I start laughing, right, and I wheel out into the living room, and I look, and she's straight ahead watching the TV, like doesn't acknowledge that I've come into the room at all, like hands crossed like this, just staring straight ahead, right? And I come into the room, and I wheel up to her, and I like lean in. I'm like, Jess, are you okay?
Yo, dog, you good?
And she looks up at me, and she goes like that. And I'm like, fuck, right? Like these cookies are hitting her hard. So I'm like, Brian, we're like DEFCON 4 right now. So I end up like getting her up. We walk Jess into Brian's room and we're just like, we get her lied down on his bed, and me and Brian are, you know, laughing our asses off and enjoying the moment that is.
Did she know?
Jess,
She thought those were regular cookies?
She knew they were pot cookies, but I don't think she thought. Okay,
she's like, this.
Let me just say this
ain't working. She's like,
if you step on Jess's feet, her mouth opens. Okay, she's a dumpster with food. So I think initially she just really didn't think about how much is going to fuck her up.
She didn't think the consequences.
She was just like, oh, these cookies are dope. Oh, fuck yeah. But just smashed them so hard that didn't think of it. Anyway, so she's lying on this bed, but she's lying over the edge of it. And me and Brian are like talking about hip hop and fucking, you know, admiring his vinyl collection and shit like that. And we just hear this. And she emptied all of those cookies onto Brian's carpet, all of them, and whatever else was in her stomach too, you know. And you can imagine, like she eats a lot, you know. So, but she straight yaxed all over his floor.
That's honestly, that was probably the best.
Probably the best.
That was probably otherwise she was gonna wake up in like 3 days when it was time for the flight.
For real.
We gotta go.
For real. And you know, we had to get her into the washroom, and she continued to further heave.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, by that point, you know, she was just so out of it that we were just laughing and making fun of her. And I think you slept for about like 14 hours that night or something like that. So she was pretty wild into it. But yeah, she let loose that weekend, and it was pretty awesome. It was good to see. It was good to see somebody cut loose that weekend for sure.
Well, dude, Pete, like this has been amazing. Like you have an incredible story. It was really fun to sit down and talk to you. And I can't wait for everyone to hear this. You can follow Pete on Instagram. What's up with the Instagram handle, bro?
Yeah, I think it just was appropriate for my jiu-jitsu. It's dead weight JJ. So I think it was just appropriate for my style of jiu-jitsu. I've got these legs that don't work, and they definitely provide me with some shitty fucking dead weight in a lot of circumstances. So.
Well, it's cool that you can kind of like have fun with it, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. So honestly, hit up Pete, follow him on Instagram. Dude, you were amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Dojo Outfitters. Thank you so much, guys. Peace.